Hey everyone, how are you doing? Mike the Handy Homeowner, and we're gonna change the oil on this John Deere LT190 lawn tractor. So before you get started, highly recommend that you start up the motor, let it run for a couple minutes, maybe even 5 minutes. You don't need it to get screaming hot, but you definitely want it to be a little on the warm side, get that oil flowing real well. All right, now while it's running, what I like to do is grab a couple of ramps and go ahead and drive it up on one side so that it's leaning towards the side of that drain plug. Okay, that way I get a little bit more of that filthy oil out of there, and it keeps it from running out and ended up on the frame quite as much. It won't sit in there and start oozing back in under and around the motor. Now, a mower like this would usually take 5W30 or 10W30 motor oil, depending on the conditions you're running it in. If you're typically using it only in the winter with maybe a snowblower or a plow, you probably want to use 5W30 motor oil for those cooler temps. And if you're running it primarily in the summer to mow the lawn, at least spring, summer, and fall, you'd want to probably use 10W30. I like synthetic, and I've got some 10W30 here. Happens to be Quaker State. You can use whatever brand you like, doesn't have to be synthetic either, but you definitely want to check that oil level every time you start it. Add some if you need to, change it when it starts looking dirty, and keep that engine running for a long time. Okay, as I mentioned, that drain plug is right here, and they were kind enough to put an extension tube on here for us so that it doesn't leak directly onto that chassis. And what I'm going to do is to use a larger wrench to hold the outer part of that tube so it can't loosen up when I loosen up the drain plug on the inner part. Okay, so if you just wrenched on this part here, well, the whole thing could loosen up, and then, well, you end up with oil everywhere on the chassis. What I like to do is take a whole bunch of paper towels, shove them in here, because inevitably that oil is going to come off of that filter when you loosen it up and make a mess. It's a small filter, so there we go. Probably could have just done that by hand if I really tried hard enough. All right, if anybody has any comments on a better way to get the filter off without making a mess, please let us all know. Make a comment. Everyone would love to hear it. But I'd say all in all, that wasn't too bad. Okay, the part number for this filter, while I have it in my hand here, is AM107423. That's the John Deere part number. Okay, now that oil is pretty much done flowing out of there, I'm going to go ahead and put this plug back in. I'm going to give it a little ugga-dugga here. Nothing too hard, it's just plastic, so please don't get too carried away with closing that up. Just snug it down and you're good. And look at that, with that paper towel, I've got virtually no oil spilling out all over the chassis, so that's a real nice plus, huh? Just in case you do make a mess, I highly recommend putting some cardboard underneath everything like I've got here. Save yourself a big headache of cleaning up. While you're at it, take a look at the mating surface for the gasket and make sure that it's nice and clean as well. Just give it a quick wipe. Now you see I'm wearing gloves. You don't have to wear gloves, but you know, why get all dirty? Your wife calls you in for an early lunch, you're ready to go. So what I like to do is put some oil into the filter, and here's the problem with this filter: is going to be sitting sideways, so some of it's going to be leaking out if you get too carried away with this. Take some of that fresh oil though, lubricate that gasket. You always want to do that with the fresh oil, and that's whether it's on a mower or any vehicle you're changing the oil filter on. Okay, we're going to take that, we're going to add a little bit more oil in there, and this is so that when you start it up the first time, that oil's already kind of flowing through the system, Now that's one reason I like synthetic, is because it lubricates better, it sticks to the parts better on the internals of the engine. So typically on a cold start, you actually end up with better lubrication. You know, that's what they tell me anyway. I've never actually climbed inside the engine to look, but we're gonna go with it. All right, tighten that down. And if I was smart, I'd have put those paper towels under here before I tipped that up on its end, huh? Okay. Wrap a couple of paper towels around that. Get a good grip on it. And again, you don't need to get super crazy if you're a big, strong guy. Just get it to where it kind of stops turning and you're good. It won't come off. All right, last step, guys. We want to put some fresh oil back in the engine. All right, the oil capacity on this thing is 1.9 quarts. I've got just about 2.5 quarts in this bottle. So obviously I'm gonna have some left when I'm done. Now you will want to check it on a level surface. So go ahead and take your oil pan back out of there, get that out of the way, get it back down level. And then what you'll want to do is put the dipstick in. Don't tighten it, just put it in, pull it out, look at the level. You want it to be between add and full. Another really good tip, guys, when you're done changing the oil, take a knife or screwdriver or something, scratch the date and the hours into that filter, and you'll never wonder when you did it. You know, otherwise you're thinking, oh, I just changed that a few months ago and it was 3 years ago. Make sure you're checking that oil level every single time you start it up. Before you start it, pull that cap off, pull that out, and just take a peek and make sure it's not looking real low. One more thing, just like any other oil change, put that stuff back in an empty jug, take it to either a local recycle center, maybe a shop in your area will take it. There's a shop across the street from me that actually has a used oil furnace, so they use it to heat their shop in the wintertime. So if you can find someone that can take it like that, let's do that. Just don't be dumping it in the sewer or nothing like that. All right, this stuff's not good. We want to make sure we keep the environment safe. Guys, thanks for watching. Hope this helps you out with this tractor or maybe any other you have. The specs and the details you can find online pretty easily nowadays of what you need to do with it, but that's generally how it's done. So thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.